He is the only child of Italian-American parents. Pacino experienced the energy and hardships of city life while growing up in the Bronx, experiences that would eventually contribute to his character's emotional depth and genuineness. Despite his scholastic difficulties and early school dropout, performance provided him with a lifeline. He found that acting allowed him to express his intense inner world and escape the trials of his surroundings. Pacino's early years were characterized by both artistic perseverance and economical struggle. He took acting lessons at the Herbert Berghof studio in Greenwich Village while working as a busboy, janitor, messenger, and in other odd jobs. Teachers and other pupils were immediately drawn to his unadulterated talent and depth of feeling. Additionally, he was admitted to the esteemed Actors Studio in 1966, where he received instruction from the renowned Lee Strasberg. Pacino's craft evolved based on method acting. He developed the ability to inhabit his characters with unparalleled passion by delving deeply into the psyche of his parts. He would become one of the most renowned performers of his generation as a result of this commitment, which would subsequently define his performances. Pacino's ascent to fame started on stage, where he established a reputation for his roles in off-Broadway shows. He received an Obie Award for his performance in Indian Once, The Bronx, 1968, which also attracted Hollywood's interest. A few years later, he landed his breakthrough role in The Godfather in 1972, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. As Michael Corleone's studio bosses were dubious about Coppola's selection because Pacino was a relatively unknown performer at the time, but one of the best performances in movie history was Pacino's subtle, the depiction of Michael's journey from reluctant son to vicious mafia boss. He became a significant cinematic figure and received his first Academy Award nomination for the part. Pacino's heyday was the 1970s, when he gave a number of remarkable performances that highlighted his incredible range. He played real-life NYPD officer Frank Serpico, who revealed police corruption at considerable personal risk. In the 1973 film Serpico, which followed The Godfather, his depiction, which was both forceful and vulnerable, it cemented his reputation for playing morally complicated characters and earned him another Oscar nomination. With The Godfather Part 2, 1974, Pacino maintained this momentum and not only extended Michael Corleone's tragic arc, but also secured him another Oscar nomination. His portrayal of a desperate bank robber attempting to aid his buddy in Dog Day Afternoon 1975 was both powerful and incredibly relatable. Pacino became a representation of American cinema in the 1970s, a time characterized by realism, rebellion, and unvarnished emotional reality. Thanks to these performances, Pacino kept pushing himself with audacious and daring performances in the 1980s. One of the most famous performances of all time was his portrayal of Tony Montana in Brian De Palma's Scarface 1983. Despite receiving negative reviews at first, Pacino's fiery portrayal of the Cuban immigrant-turned-drug king is now considered legendary, and the movie went on to become a cult classic. One of the most often cited lines from films is "Say hello to my little friend." And Tony Montana continues to be a cultural representation of aspiration, excess, and failure. Pacino also went back to his theatrical beginnings during this decade, taking breaks from films to play on stage, where he was praised for his Shakespearean parts in plays like Richard III and The Merchant of Venice. Pacino's subsequent work showed his enduring appeal and development as an artist. He played the blind former Army Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade in 1992's Scent of a Woman, which earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor after years of nominations. His performance, which was both flashy and tragic, won over the hearts of the crowd and demonstrated that his brilliance had only grown with age. Pacino balanced smaller, character-driven films like Donnie Brasco 1997 and The Insider 1999, with big Hollywood productions like Heat 1995, in which he co-starred with Robert De Niro in a long-awaited confrontation. The moral ambiguity that had always characterized his work was explored in his performances in these flicks. Pacino has maintained a strong connection to the stage in addition to his work on television. His love of theater has never diminished, and he has been in several Broadway and off-Broadway productions, receiving praise from critics and Tony Awards, as evidenced by his 1996 documentary, Looking for Richard, which explores the significance of Shakespeare in contemporary times. He has also dabbled in directing, helming both stage plays and movies. One of the best actors in movie history, Al Pacino has had a complicated and intriguing personal life. He is a loving father to 4 children, each of whom was born during a distinct period of his life. On October 16, 1989, his firstborn child, Julie Marie Pacino, was born while he was dating Jan Tarrant, a reputable acting instructor who had worked with many up-and-coming actors in New York. Julie was born during a period when Pacino was already well known in Hollywood. Thanks to his iconic roles in Scarface and The Godfather series, Pacino remained close to Julie and encouraged her interest in the entertainment business despite the demanding nature of his job. Over time, Julie became a producer and filmmaker, continuing her father's artistic legacy. Perhaps as a result of her father's lifetime commitment to acting, she has a strong grasp of storytelling As evidenced by the numerous independent films she has directed and produced, Pacino has frequently spoken kindly about Julie, praising her independence and creative drive. When Pacino started dating actress Beverly D'Angelo in the late 1990s, a new chapter in his family life was written. Renowned for her iconic parts in films, like Coal Miner's Daughter and National Lampoon's Vacation, D'Angelo had a close relationship with Pacino that culminated in the birth of twins, Olivia Rose and Anton James, on January 25, 2001. They were together from 1997 to 2003. Additionally, the two stayed dedicated to co-parenting their kids with compassion and respect, even after their personal relationship ended. Pacino has frequently referred to being a parent as one of the most life-changing events in his life, claiming that having kids provided him a sense of purpose and stability outside of the volatile world of Hollywood. He made it plain that his responsibilities as a father always came first, regardless of his hectic schedule or notoriety. Despite their parents' celebrity, Anton and Olivia have both had their childhoods mostly out of the spotlight thanks to Pacino and D'Angelo's meticulous protection of their privacy, which has allowed them to have as normal a childhood as possible. When it was announced in 2023 that Al Pacino had become a father for the fourth time at the astounding age of 83, his private life once again attracted national notice. On June 15, 2023, his girlfriend, Noor Al-Fala, a 53-year-old film producer, gave birth to his youngest son, Roman. In addition to the fact that the pair was very different in age, the revelation also made headlines throughout the world since it confirmed Pacino's continued health and capacity to start over even in his older years. Al-Fala, who has experience producing films and has been friends with a number of well-known personalities in the entertainment business, has frequently shown his respect for Pacino's illustrious career and intelligence. Their son's arrival gave Pacino a fresh sense of happiness and rejuvenation, and he has managed to juggle parenting with his continued career in theater and movies despite his advanced age. Pacino's already remarkable life story was further enhanced when he became a father again in his 80s, placing him among the oldest fathers in the world. The relationship between Al Pacino and Diane Keaton, two legends whose alliance has lasted for decades and is characterized by love, creative cooperation, and an unbreakable emotional connection that has captivated audiences more than few Hollywood tales. At 85 years old, Pacino has never been more forthcoming, looking back on their history and disclosing the truth about the woman who had a significant impact on his personal and professional lives. Pacino said, "Diane has always been a part of me. She is unlike anyone I've ever met. I believe she's one of those folks that enter into a room and everything changes. There's a light around her that never fades." Both of them were young actors still figuring out their roles in Hollywood when their journey started on the set of The Godfather in the early 1970s. Pacino was immediately captivated by Keaton's eccentric charm and brilliant brains. He remembered how special she was. Diane was unlike anyone else. She could make you laugh in the midst of a storm because of her amazing combination of strength and vulnerability. The intensity of their off-screen romance was reflected in their on-screen connection as Michael and Kay Coolio, a lifetime of intense love, creative tension, and appreciation for one another. Pacino acknowledged that he was first hesitant to enter into a romantic relationship. He was ambitious, focused on his work, and cautious of outside distractions. However, Dion's warmth overcame his defensive demeanor. He laughed as he remarked, "I was shy, believe it or not. She simply disarmed me. She had a way of making things seem effortless and unplanned. After a hard winter, being near her was like entering the sun." Behind the scenes, their romance blossomed, and the emotional bond remained strong even after it ended. Keaton has frequently praised Pacino throughout the years, calling him the love of her life. Pacino became reflective when questioned about that. "Diane's statement meant more to me than words can convey." He acknowledged that we had a profound love for one another. Love doesn't always have to fit into the conventional framework. We never truly let go, but we also didn't end up together in the traditional sense. I still have a soft spot for her. His remarks were laden with sentimentality and a bittersweet realization of what could have been. In addition, Pacino commended Keaton's talent, describing her as one of the most daring and intuitive actors he has ever collaborated with. "The great thing about acting with Diane is that you never know what's going to happen," he said. "She pays attention, responds, and is there at all times. She taught me so much about herself as a person and as an actor. She taught me to be honest and to be present, due in large part to their genuine bond." Their cooperation in the Godfather trilogy continues to rank among the most powerful depictions of love, treachery, and redemption in film. Pacino and Keaton have remained close friends even after their love breakup decades ago. They remained there for one another through all of life's highs and lows, accolades, heartaches, and growing older in the spotlight. Pacino remarked quietly, "We've seen each other at our best and at our worst. That has a hallowed quality about it. I have attempted to support Diane in the same way that she has supported me at difficult times. Everything changes with time, but genuine affection endures." When considering the reasons their romance ended without marriage, Pacino was frank as always. "I wasn't prepared," he said. "At the time, I was terrified of commitment. My life was acting and I had no idea how to strike a balance between that and love. Diane was entitled to someone who could provide her with more than I could at the time. But I never stopped caring, he added after pausing. Some people enter your life and stay with you forever. Diane is that person. The two have been spotted together at private events and award shows in recent years. Any observer can see their effortless rapport and enduring affection. When Keaton quipped that Pacino still makes her nuts, Pacino grinned and said, "That's Diane. She has the ability to make me go crazy in the most delightful way." Pacino, who is 85 years old, has the tenderness of a guy who has experienced life to the fullest and isn't scared to recognize the strength of a single, lasting bond in his observations. "We had a genuine connection," he remarked. "It doesn't go away. It simply changes form, not just because of who she was, but also because of who she is. She will always be someone I love." As he ages, Pacino has grown more introspective and conscious of how time takes away so much while leaving behind what really counts. His remarks on Keaton sounded more like a parting love letter to a lady who had influenced his life in ways that only he could completely comprehend, and they did like a declaration. Acknowledged the things we said and didn't say, and he acknowledged that I think about her a lot. I believe she was aware of how much she meant to me, but I wish I had said it more frequently. I hope she was aware of their combined legacy in the Godfather trilogy, which continues to be one of the most enduring collaborations in movie history in the hearts of people who loved them both. Diane Keaton was more than simply a co-star and ex-lover to Al Pacino. She was a confidant, a muse, and possibly his equal in the purest sense of the word. He stated she was my reflection. I recognized the best aspects of myself when I gazed upon her. Ultimately, Pacino's homage to Diane Keaton was a celebration of her remarkable life as much as a lamenting her passing. He stated plainly, "She made the world brighter, and you never forget if you were fortunate enough to spend even a brief time in her world."